Just uploaded it. Orbital reconstruction 1 week update. Holy fuck, his eyes are like the opposite of cross-eyed. What's the opposite of crossed? Repelling. He is, yeah, I guess googly-eyed.
All right, boys, we're in frog mode. Post your frog.
Yeah, frog. Oh, this is retarded.
Emojis in the comments. I was gonna film this 1 week surgery update video, and I stepped outside this house, and I have never smelled so many chemicals and whatever they're spraying in the air in my life. I thought it was bad by me in Pennsylvania, but out here in Los Angeles, I guess, with the high population and stuff, they're just bombing people. So maybe I'll go back inside before my headache gets any worse. So the strabismus might correct the strabismus, which is strabismus is the eye misalignment. It might correct itself in a few weeks. It might not. The doctor did say my eyes were straight when they completed the surgery. Whether he's telling the truth or not, or trying to keep me optimistic, you know, who knows? I'm assuming he's telling the truth. So there's a chance that the eye alignment will correct itself, but you guys can see I could switch it. If I look with my left eye, my right eye goes out. If I look with my right eye, my left eye goes out. Worst case scenario, we have to get a strabismus surgery in a month or two. And I don't think we're gonna get any other surgeries moving forward. Some of you guys talking about my lips. I wear my retainers, which kind of make them look a little puffy. But I've been feeling better these.
I think he got more lip injections. His lips look swollen.
Past few days. When I went to see the doctor on Thursday, in the cab ride on the way back, I got really sick and nauseous and had to lay in bed for 8 hours, but I think that was just the combination of my eyes being dizzy and me being motion sick from the car. So I'm definitely still feeling a little motion sick, a little dizzy. I was supposed to fly back 2 days ago on Thursday. It's now Saturday. So we're staying here a little longer. I don't know if I'm going to go home Tuesday or if I'm going to stay another week and see if it gets...
You know, I think he might be on steroids again. His neck is suddenly way thicker than it was before. And the muscles around his jaw look a lot bigger and more developed. I think he's on steroids again.
It's any better, but at this point I might just have to...
You can also see he has like some acne on his face when he doesn't normally have that.
Man up and get on the plane. We'll put my phone down, give you guys a little view. Yeah, I should have done this on a nicer day, huh? Should have done it yesterday, or maybe tomorrow's going to be a lot nicer. But maybe we'll film one more video for you guys for the view. Yeah, so we had our 1 week follow-up appointment with the doctor 2 days ago on Thursday. And he said, you know, it's still a few weeks of recovering and healing to see how things turned out. But the surgery went extremely successfully, just about as good as it could have. And I can't say enough about the difference in demeanor between the first surgeon who messed up my eyes in the first place, Dr. Tufano. Just the overall attitude and how everyone around him acted. And Dr. Raymond Douglas, who did this surgery, has a team of excellent, smart, kind, experienced people working with him. I'm convinced he is the best eye doctor in the business. However, he is more on the reconstruction side, and he does more fixing as opposed to actual plastics, like initial plastic surgeries, which means that he sees a lot more of what can go wrong, and they're very conservative and smart about what procedures they recommend certain people to do. So I forgot the Indian guy's name, but I didn't actually see Dr. Douglas last Thursday. The guy's really busy. I saw his like, I guess maybe his second in command or one of his assistant doctors, who is also a very experienced surgeon who does a lot of reconstruction stuff. And I didn't actually realize how many of these surgeries they did. They do hundreds and hundreds of these reconstruction surgeries every year. But what's crazy is that him and there's maybe only one or two other people that do this type of reconstruction, but he is by far the most experienced. I'm pretty sure, well, I'm not pretty sure, Dr. Douglas does the most amount of orbital reconstruction surgeries out of any surgeon in the United States. He is by far the most experienced, and he has seen the most cases. That is unquestionable. So his main marketing thing is for like thyroid eye disease, Graves' disease. That they're very experienced with decompressions in general. So like obviously I should have gone to this guy in the first place, but you know, there was no one better to fix this, and I'm confident that he basically returned my eyes to as good as a state as they could be. Of course, I'm not going to look like I did originally, because you know he just reversed the decompression. You know, there were several other procedures that were done to me that may or may not have to be fixed down the line. But I think the main dizziness and issues I'm experiencing now are due to the eye misalignment. So that's the main thing we're hoping is going to get better. There has been a slight pressure in my eye area, in my head, which has also slowly been getting better, and it is pretty much completely gone. But yeah, I still get really seasick and nauseous and dizzy when I try to walk around or anything. Recovery-wise, and you know what you go through in these surgeries, these doctors definitely underestimate it, and I can't blame them, because they don't want to scare you. They don't want to scare you out of getting a surgery. But you know, you honestly might want to be prepared to spend a very significant amount of money on nursing and on aftercare, and making sure you have the right medications available. And all of these facilities in Beverly Hills are very expensive. I'm kind of friends with the people here in the house, so I pay them their normal rate, which is around $2,000 a night for a few nights, and now I'm just paying like a hotel rate, which is much cheaper, but I don't have a nurse or anything. But it's a little nicer. I can stay here instead of getting an Airbnb. But those first few nights with the nurse, pretty much I think are mandatory for most surgeries. So yeah, most people save up a lot of money, and they're trying to save money, and they don't want to spend it. But because you know, if you got to pay, I had to pay almost over $30,000 for this surgery, which is why I did the fundraiser, which is why I'm like asking you guys for help and trying to get some more sales on my business, because I need to pay off my credit card. So it was very, very expensive. And then on top of that $30,000, you know, my stay over here, my food, my accommodations and everything are probably going to be around $10,000. So it's very, very expensive. And, you know, I worked very hard, for many years. I saved up a lot of money to get that initial surgery, and everything that happened after.
He didn't save up money to get that surgery. He admitted he bought it with credit.
I wasn't prepared for. Basically bankrupted me. And I might actually have to file bankruptcy, but I'm trying not to.
Yeah, he's gonna have to file for bankruptcy because of the lawsuit with Paul.
That's why I'm trying to push sales and ask you guys for help with everything. But I'm getting like shadow banned and sent.
Is he still begging for money? I made $661 now. One other person donated.
So my story's not getting out there, so I'm not really getting any donations from outsiders, which is unfortunate, but it's whatever. You know, I'm doing the best with the situation that I can. But
yeah, I know some states. I think he's in New York, right? I don't know if New York allows you to file for bankruptcy if you owe somebody money in a lawsuit. Yeah, I don't know if he's going to be able to claim bankruptcy. probably just going to be broke. What a dumbass.
Yeah, I don't really know if there's a lot that I can talk about in relevance to this surgery, because as I've said, we're just waiting for recovery. We're waiting to see how things go. I think I've already explained what the possibilities are in the past video, like, hey, maybe we need strabismus surgery, maybe we need to get the eyelids critiqued a little bit, maybe we need to get some fat grafting in certain areas, but we're definitely not going to do anything extreme moving forward. I've definitely pushed my luck, and there's no reason for me to try to, max out the next percent. Like, redoing the implants is incredibly risky. That's out of the question. That's something I talked to the doctor about on Thursday, and he educated me on how risky and how dangerous the implants in these areas are, mainly due to the nerves and the location of tendons. So that's completely out of the question. If my eyelids are off a little bit, that's not that big of a deal to fix. Fat grafting seems to be very safe, and that might fix some of the asymmetries if it's necessary. But those are very, very minimally invasive, and those are very easy. We shouldn't have to worry about those. But anything major like further implants or fixing other parts of my face, completely out of the question from a risk perspective. The only reason I can't recommend other people get plastic surgery is because what I've been through. What I went through initially was a very high-risk surgery, but I might have been the worst botch that guy's ever done. I haven't seen any.
Well, the lawsuit started when Frank was in New York, and his business was incorporated in New York, so I'm pretty sure it's through New York. So I don't think he's going to be able to apply for bankruptcy.
Botches worse than mine from doctor to bond. So, how crazy is that? You go to the best plastic surgeon, the most famous one, and you end up being his worst botch case ever. Don't remove that from the realm of possibilities. That's, you could be going to the most experienced surgeon. It could be the easiest surgery ever, really routine stuff. But what if that surgeon has the worst day of his life? That could have been what happened, and that's likely what happened to me when he messed up all four. Maybe in other surgeries he's performed on other people, when he does these 3 or 4 surgeries at once, maybe he messed up 1 or 2 of them and it didn't look that bad. But the combination of him messing up all 4 of those surgeries on me to various degrees is what made this such a horrific case. And then the system isn't set up to help you. Like, what that doctor should have done was, give me my money back from the surgery and then help pay for the other procedures. Instead, it was the opposite. I'm still like going after him in videos and trying to get some compensation, but it's really corrupt and it's disgusting. And most people were in worse situations than me. I was fortunate to have some money saved up, which I spent on these surgeries trying to correct my vision. So you'll just never be ready for the worst case scenario.
He keeps contradicting himself. So he said he paid for the original surgery with credit. Then he said he paid for it from his savings. Then he said he had to pay for these surgeries with his credit card. Now he's saying, well, luckily I saved up money. So which is it? And then he's begging for money. Like, what's he asking for? $400,000? So you had money saved and you could afford this, but you're asking for $400,000 when, in all likelihood, all these medical bills probably don't total anywhere near that much. So he's just fucking lying about everything. Frank is such a fucking idiot. Like, he can't even lie right. What a fucking moron.
Scenario, I was like in my head, maybe just 1 or 2 revisions if he messes up the first surgery. And here I am 10 procedures later still talking about getting more surgeries to fix this. So it's really, really unfortunate. I was thinking last night, the piece of advice I would give to people If you're so unhappy with your appearance that you're suicidal, then you can get the surgery. And even then, I would still only go to the best surgeons, which are very expensive. So if you're so upset with your appearance and you're unhappy and you're literally suicidal, then technically you have nothing to lose. That's the way I look at it. And going into that first surgery, I was kind of in that mental state where it's like, all right, what's the worst case scenario? I'm very unhappy anyway, so can it really get worse? You just have to be very objective and make 100 and be 100% certain that you are in a negative enough mental state that it can't get worse. That's where you have to be, in my mind, to go through some of these surgeries that have such high risks. Now, I don't know, or I'm not aware of Dr. Douglas or anyone he works with that have botched people as badly as I've seen Dr. Tufano. And he also works with Dr. Masri, who does more of the cosmetic side of things. So Dr. Douglas does like the orbital stuff, the reconstructions, the decompressions, and then if there's any sort of like plastic surgery element or some aesthetic stuff, Dr. Masri works on that end. But I want to emphasize that these are the guys, and this group of surgeons are the ones that are fixing all of the mistakes of these other surgeons. And some of this stuff is really high risk. And when you're going into this, you have to understand that if you did have a botched surgery, that it's very, very uncertain. These guys don't want to guarantee results, and they only want to work with people that are very open-minded and understand the gravity of the situation. Like, you know, this first surgeon messed you up really badly, and we honestly don't know how it's going to be until we go in there and try to fix it. So, you know, they're the only guys that know how to deal with this type of stuff. And, you know, you got unlucky the first time you rolled the dice, so, you know, I guess you got to roll them again and see if you can get a little luckier. So I think in my scenario, it was like the opposite. Like, I got super unlucky on the first procedure. I got really horrifically botched, and then I lucked out in a sense that the botch was very easy to correct and fix. You know, the procedure was very smooth. It went very easy, and they were able to reverse the problem of the decompression being overdone. Now, was that initial set of procedures what I should have gotten done? Like everything besides the medial decompression, maybe. Like maybe if he did a slight lateral decompression and then the other aesthetic stuff, you know, I think that's pretty close to an ideal outcome for me. I think it might be much less risky to do everything besides the decompression first, and then you think you really need a decompression just to do a lateral.
It's not Jasmine, it's a friend of mine.
Compression, but yeah, I guess for any of you guys that are curious, I would have probably gone to Dr. Douglas to get a lateral decompression. And then after getting a lateral decompression, I would have gone to Dr. Masri to do some aesthetic stuff with the eyelids. I still kind of have, like right now, my eyes are kind of like, I guess the results after this reconstruction might be what I was going for somewhat initially. So I can't confidently say that getting supraorbital and infraorbital rim implants would have been an alternative, because like that upper eye area, there's too many nerves really and putting implants up there is very risky. Even down here, it's just very risky with all the nerves and stuff. So all I can say is that the doctors and the team that Dr. Raymond Douglas has is like above and beyond, and it's not even comparable to Dr. Tufano, the first surgeon I had. I don't want this video to be too long, but I guess I'll touch briefly on these looks maxers and these influencers. I don't really know what that word means. It just seems like a bunch of random guys that are pretending to be good looking. like in my mind, if someone asked me what a looks maxer was, I'd be like, oh, those are just some weird dudes that use filters and weird camera angles and pretend to be good looking on TikTok. Like That's in my mind what these looks factors are, because none of them have actually gone through any surgeries or any procedures or have any real world experience or understanding in anything relative to looks maxing, which, you know, in order to be an attractive person, you know, there's elements of diet and exercise and plastic surgery, and none of these guys have any experience in any of those fields. You know, you would assume you'd want to go to like the smartest guy in health and nutrition, and then the smartest guy in plastic surgery. So to me, what I've been through and everything I've experienced makes these guys look like a bunch of fucking idiots, and I would never take any advice from them. But if I had to recommend or suggest surgery and things in general, you know, hopefully your eye area is good enough that you don't have to touch it, because you have to be a complete suicidal nut job to go into a surgery that has a risk of going blind. Like, it's so crazy to risk your vision compared to all of the anything else you could do on your face. Like, that's the big wild card. Like, that's the big outlier. The main crazy factor in all the eye procedures is, oh yeah, by the way, you can go blind. So if there's any other element of your face you can fix, whether it's your jaw, your lips, your nose, I would absolutely do everything else before even touching your eye area. And then when you do, because of
I mean, any sensible, rational person would, you know, probably think that. It's funny how he even has to say this. It's like, you know, if you had to commit suicide, the last suicide method I'd ever choose is cutting your dick off. Like, I'd shoot myself in the head, jump off a bridge, hang myself before I'd consider cutting my dick off. Like, yeah, you don't say.
The risk of those procedures, you definitely want to go to the best guys in the business and spend whatever amount of money you have to. I guess I'll touch on it briefly. The orbital botch osteotomy, the Lefort 19, these ridiculous procedures. There's only one simple thing to kind of debunk those is, you know, you're breaking someone's face and moving parts of it. You know, you can't do the whole face. All right, it's not realistic or natural or anything that's going to look good. You know, you're breaking the person's orbital and stretching it. You know, you can't stretch their lower face, you can't stretch their jaw and chin, you can't stretch their forehead. What do you do? Why don't you install some magnets in the dude's skull and start stretching it? Like, there are some things that are so beyond ridiculous and invasive that they're completely out of the question, and those are the procedures that I consider. And I believe that, you know, you have to work with some degree with what God gave you, and you have to try to make your features complement your face as good as possible. So I was in a weird spot where the only thing I really needed done that could be fixed in any capacity was my eye area. And I got a little unlucky at first, but I think he did an excellent job of fixing it, and I think I'm going to be a lot happier and look a lot better as soon as we fix the frog emojis in the chat. The first dude that posted that frog emoji, I was laughing for like 10 minutes straight. It was very funny. I was thinking of going out. I'm kind of woozy, but I kind of wanted to do a restaurant vlog, so we might go out with an eye patch or something. I didn't bring my handkerchief, my bandana though, which would have been funny because then I would have really looked like a pirate. Like, imagine the eye patch and the handkerchief fucking look completely like a pirate. I mean, with just the eye patch and the hat, you kind of look like a pirate too. Anyway, that's my 1 week update. Hopefully I continue to feel a little better, and in a few weeks the eyes kind of go back to normal. But yeah, there's not, after the main thing that's changed since the first update video is after speaking to the surgeon, it doesn't look like I'm going to be doing really any crazy or any invasive surgeries moving forward. They're not going to be necessary. So if you guys can please, I guess, just support the businesses. You know, I always feel bad asking for help. I always try my best. Like, Yeah, I was working really hard on the social media pages. I made like a new TikTok page just for the business. I took out a small loan to try to promote it, to push some sales, and they just banned me and censored me. So it's completely ridiculous and disgusting.
Well, that's what Frank's up to, apparently.